who have never been here before, this is a special collection of Nebraska works. Although it's a service which is part of Lincoln City Libraries, it's not a tax-supported service. We depend solely on your contributions and your support to keep the room running. Now this year we didn't raise enough money for operational funds, so the room's hours are cut by quite a bit. It's open now from 12:30 to 3:30 Tuesday through Saturday, and no evenings except for these poetry readings, which will continue through next July, as far as I know. They've been scheduled through next July. So if you're interested in becoming a friend of the Heritage Room, or you have some ideas for fundraising, let Carol Connor know for sure, and she's here tonight. Or you can talk to me about it. Tonight's reading is part of the John A. James Poetry Reading Series, and we have fiction readers as well as poets. If you have any suggestions, you might want to also mention those to us. Tonight's reader is Susan Deal, and I'm sure you're all familiar with her poetry. Her poetry has been published in various periodicals, including the Northwest Review, Prairie Schooner, Poetry Now, Black Warrior Review, Ohio Journal, and Cottonwood Review. Her poems have also been included in many anthologies, some of which are All My Grandmothers Could Sing and the Pushcart Prize 4. She's the author of 2 books of poetry which are for sale here in the room in the gift shop, and that's The Dark as a Door and No Moving Parts. She's also one of 5 poets who are included in adjoining rooms. Please welcome her here tonight.
I want to warn you that these poems aren't going to be like anything probably you've heard before as far as my work is concerned. I brought along all new poems, and I'm working on a different style. These poems are what are termed language poems and deal a great deal with language, and I'm not sure about them. Some of them I like a great deal, and some I'm not sure about, but I thought, why not? Let's go for it tonight. So what I thought I would do, since there will be very few things I can say about them during the course of the reading, is just go ahead and read them through and say very little bit about them. They depend very much on sound to carry the meaning. Opportunity knocks. Splatter of little bells in silence. She has dialed your number twice and you weren't home. Opportunity comes knocking, its soft knuckles brushing the door jamb. He said what you heard was just a rumor. Cream does not rise to the top, and the early bird does not get the worm. She studies the worms in the apple. She studies the sequence and order of nouns. Where does it get you to memorize the periodic table, each hour a different and a new one? The knock on the door was a stranger, someone who wanted a dime. He wanted to call opportunity, which rang and then rode off again in a splatter of little bells, then silence. Try again. Its soft knuckles are brushing the door jamb. Li Po. Rocky slopes and purple misted, he climbs alone and barefooted, plum wine still on his lips, and under his breath a new quatrain. Just under the filmy surface of this hour, what he knew and what he thought about hangs in the air like incense. It is the light, the little beads of light drooping on a stem of grass enclosed in rainwater, pills of them broken open by her footsteps, and some of his verses staining the air. She has come in at an angle, and the image is suddenly visible. Li Po climbing through rugged mountains, figure hanging midway up. Shining, and it won't stop. The mountain, the verses, the sound of his feet over rocks, draped around her, the mist from the river she steps into, what he knew and what he sang about. One blue heron hangs in the air, about to fly into a thinner surface, into the modern world. Now for something completely different. Profusely illustrated. The book is profusely illustrated with maps and pictures, beautifully printed in jet black letters on cream-colored paper. Amazingly, the fog vanished as quickly as it came. He rapped on the door twice before someone came to the door. The child's eyes were round and deep with wonder, round and deep and lucidly blue. She measured off 6 yards of soft cotton. It had stripes of gold and brown deep in the weave, so tame the birds will not fly off when you pass them. Mists rise over the cold, still lake without even a ripple. The door opens a crack to see who's there. She held a shell to her ear. Maps and pictures float to the top like foam, letters as silent as flying. This one is very, very recent. I'd say within the last month or so. And I have a real interest in flamenco guitar, and you'll see that in this poem. It's called Flamenco. Words with flamenco guitars in them and castanets and red roses between their teeth. Half a sentence with a mouthful of teeth and a tongue and a song, green grapes on a white table, red wine and crystal. Words with the rhythm of tambourines and a trumpet, silk fans colored orange and black, red and black, blue and black and yellow. Words that aspirate in sounding. Cadence of wild dancers, tattoo of dancers on a wooden floor in high heels and crinoline and leather. Words with the poems rattled out of them, steel balls in a slender tube dropping, fast as the fastest hands clapping, the fastest feet of gypsies dancing, faster than thinking or laughing. Out of one round sound of them, this kiss of a Spanish poet, this quick bright dance of a poem, all night long against the emptiness of rooms and American moonlight, an aftermath of it lingers in the wooden instruments of words. Hot kisses, quick and as deep as staccato, all Spanish under the English words. Ringing. Once more the telephone rings, wanting another survey. With her name in the telephone book, she knows where she lives. In black and white, it is surrounded by 1,000 other numbers. The phone keeps ringing when nobody's home. In a phone booth, a man muffles the receiver. Telephone wires connect one house to another, block to block, country to country. How easy it fits in the hand. Her ear is cradled against his. She listens for hours to the busy signal, her palms gone wet. Inside the mouthpiece, little copper wires cross and recross like vessels. You must have the wrong number, she says. Hang up and dial again. Some of these poems get very mystical, and I think this one is a very mystical poem. Enter the women. Enter the women with tambourines. Wood smoke winds through the moonlit branches, mystical and secret as the moon and the clouds kiss and part. Make a thing as beautiful as you can, rubbed all over with gold or silver, the lines curving up, sloping down in unstoppable rhythm, its real heart beating deep in your hands. Held to the light, the transparent diaphanous wings, held to the light, it is shadow and wood smoke and clouds parting and closing. It is dark in the silence and the women have gone where nothing is being performed between one heartbeat and another. This is where you drop the thing you make, to land on its feet or fly or merely make 1,000 handmade shattered pieces that shine in the grass as transitory as dew. The box. He explored the box from every angle, but the lid wouldn't lift. Wearing a straw hat that moved softly up and down on his head, he went fishing. What moves the sentence either right or left, up or down, is the verb. It has a handle if you know where to find it. She tried on one pair of gloves and then another. Deep under the feet of still water, something vaguely moved. Adjectives can muddy the water. He put his hand in, trying to feel it. It slips and slides like silver minnows. Let them come to you. Inside the box are smooth sides, a top and a bottom. Inside the sides is a square of space. The space is waiting for motion to move it. The movement begins, has begun, is beginning, just at the inside edges of paper. Languages. He has eaten the languages one by one, smacking his lips. A word or two dribbling down his chin, eaten the languages like fruitcake and honey. Terrible hunger half drowned in him. Half drowned of pain the world turns anyway, its slips still broken and famishing. I mean the words amigo and amor were devoured, but had lost their taste. No pungent spices spiced them quite enough. Murder and disease were merely words washed down with politics and weather. He ate them all the same, mixed in together. And poetry on pretty platters on separate plates, attractively designed and offered, did not abate the souring in him. Like a fast food fix, it stayed in the mouth briefly, then sharpened more blades of hunger in him. He took the jar of peace, the hors d'oeuvres of war, friendship and truth like sugared sweets. At the dish of money, the aroma nearly knocked him over, but there was nothing in it he could eat. Loyalty and freedom burst like air against his tongue. And he drank the milk of enterprise and of ambition, sampled the taste of power, breaking through the hard crust surrounding, his hands for a long time retaining the smell of them. Stained with juices like corrosive acid, he ate the languages of self-pity. He eats the languages one by one, breaking their bread, drinking their wine. Either yes or no, the world keeps turning, hungry after all for nourishment. His lips pressed to them for sustenance, in words like verity, vita, spelled with a capital V. Quite a few poems about language. This one too. I guess that's because they're language poems. Textures. It's hard to stay on the surface when everything is pulling you under. Lakes and trees, and of course the soft, deep arms of wind seducing. Use a ruler. How neatly the lines of the trees overlap as if they like being together. The stock-voiced stacks of cans in neat tall rows. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight ladder. But she wonders who really wants to come here. So many round things with pockets and linings are off in the distance. The teacher said, skim the book quickly, underline each subject once, each predicate completely. She bobs up and down in the waters of textures instead. Pivot. Pivot on the left foot between the third and fourth movements. As in all things, the majority rules. He stood for a long time on the corner, counting and breathing. Breathing must be done in the pauses. When he was 48, he wrote his first sonnet. Nothing has ever been the same. This is the ward they gave and nobody came. Little children picked all the flowers. The highlight of the day was in the first quarter, before the wind blew cool and smooth and before the wind opened the closed roses. He didn't leave his name. And I'm repeating some of these, as you'll hear. Opportunity. Splatter of little bells, then silence. She has dialed your number twice, and you weren't home. Opportunity comes knocking, its soft knuckles brushing the door jamb. He said what you heard was just a rumor. Cream does not rise to the top, and the early bird does not gift the worm. She studies the worms in the apple. She studies the sequence and order of nouns. Where does it get you to memorize the periodic table, each hour a different and a new one? The knock on the door was a stranger, someone who wanted a dime. He wanted to call opportunity, which rang, and then rode off again in a splatter of little bells and silence. Try again. Its soft knuckles are brushing the door jamb. Infinitesimal bells. Infinitesimal bells linger in the round mouth of words. Scales of bells tuned to each other and chiming, or about to chime, or finish chiming and stand still. Infinitesimal, smaller and deeper than atoms, forming a chain like molecules, chain after chain in past and present and future time. Open your mouth then slowly, without breaking the crystal balls of them, and utter them as preciously as breathing. The chimes begin in the 1,000 rounds that begin or are about to begin in the chain after chain of small bells lingering down in the infinitesimal mouths of words. This is a round that goes round and round and is sung until you hear it. Scales tuned to each other and chiming or about to chime or finish chiming and stand still. Beating the measure until you re-enter. The mouths begin to open down in the throats of words. Infinitesimal bells linger in the round mouth of words. Potentials. It is only a matter of whether or not it has potential. Potentially, things drift in their possible, probable state. We listened hardly at all to the State of the Union. Measure yourself carefully in both frontal and partial views. Dimensions are a transitory fad. Today be fat, tomorrow skinny. Dynamically, molecules expand and contract like leaves do, touched by autumn wind or summer. Turning this way and that, it was probable that this would do. Didn't he say it would? Didn't she leave it at that? Potentially, the world keeps getting longer, modified by words and looks and conversations. Every word you utter turns the hour one more inch or two. When you get it all to fit together, screw the lid on firmly. One more maybe, and it's off again. Dark spaces. In the dark spaces between what is being said and silence, in the leanings leaning forward in their aspirations and their sighs, the vowels link, the verbs link or undo or unlock in ink that joins them painlessly neutral as a matter of fact. As a matter of fact, he said, leaning intimately closer, the key to the door is under the mat. You can find the right place if you want to, the right door in the perfect sense that opens to a touch of the latch. Through keyholes, key-shaped like glimmers and glitters, or between voices and words, the dark spaces turn into keys, slip softly into the mouths of lovers, slip softly out again. In the leanings, leaning forward in the dark spaces of what is being said in silence, she hears, she sees, the intricate locks twisting under the smooth keys that undo, that unlock, that crack the latch into a place of linkings. And this one, it's not true, Joe. You'll see what I mean when I read it. The very first line. Money. I only did it for the money. The first taste of the water was pure as cream. He left a message for you in your box. In the end, they tallied up the scores and awarded the trophy. I really don't know what you mean with this word. Pace yourself during each race. I have seen trees explode from desire. Nothing is as deep or as easy as it seems. Everything drops into place. Hold your hand out now if you want some. Here comes that flamenco guitar again. Yellow silk. On the yellow silk of June, the gunshots of the shadows leave their powder burns. Faster than castanets, fingers over an old guitar are caught in the tempo of flamenco. Cross-hatched the shadows, cross-hatched and counter-panel. She is reading by the light of a yellow candle, the soft wax dripping into warm, bright beads. And in spite of the past, the night comes on, and in spite of the sorrow, the pigeons roost under the eaves. Twilight brings to her 100,000 words in a triple-tongue tempo. Dazed by what is and what used to be, she carries on. Over the river trees, an old pattern of light and shadow, complicated and simple, cross-hatched and counter-panel. She knows someone on the other side, in an opposite country, looks into the light and sees what she sees, the shape and the light and the writing. Ringing. Once more the telephone rings, wanting another survey. With her name in the book, she knows where she lives. In black and white, it is surrounded by 1,000 other numbers. The phone keeps ringing when nobody's home. In a phone booth, a man muffles the receiver. Telephone wires connect one house to another, block to block, country to country. How easy it fits in the hand. Her ear is cradled against his. She listens for hours to the busy signal, her palms gone wet. Inside the mouthpiece, little copper wires cross and recross like vessels. You must have the wrong number, she says. Hang up and dial again. Cost. You have no idea, he said, what the cost might be. All over the country, the cash register rings, taking in fistfuls of money. The Price is Right has always been exactly what it costs. Deep in the caverns of buildings, offices are busy with business. The typewriter fills page after page with words that aren't poetry. Boxes of paper clips are stacked in the back like rolls of silver. Please leave your name and number. Taking the trash out, he stood in the backyard smothered by stars. Strange noises came in through the bedroom window. He had never heard it called that before. All night long, the cost of living rises. Geese. A flock of geese like falling stars, and the hot night deepens over the country. Portents and meanings figure and prefigure nightly, hourly, scent of deep fish in the thin river. In the backyard, she is overwhelmed by the mathematics of the pyramids, the monoliths of Stonehenge. The shadows of her stationary body fall obliquely in the moonlit grass. Is it full or empty? Is it long or short, circular or square? Sparkle and shine and glistening stars locked in onyx, and she rises in another country to breathe the night air. White and still in another window, in another room. How many women at this moment are there, overwhelmed by shapes of things against the moon? soft curls. Soft curls in slow motion, she pulls the curtains back. What is the window but a crystal ball, and the balls of sparrows but hexagrams? Take 2 capsules with meals 3 times daily. What is inside us is the real mystery. Will the chemicals and compounds change our nature, cure the causes of our malady? Melody and motion and mathematics, Pythagoras thought, and we think too. Only the complete text will do. What we think is what we are. Swallow it all with a deep drink of water, then with a grain of salt or 2. Exit and re-enter. Simple and not simple, and simply simple. Exit and re-enter where the light is dancing, where the light filters slowly in. Exit and re-enter and try again. Incredibly difficult now. The text is whitewater rapids, and the boulders like nouns pepper the flow. Do not merely drive with your right hand only, or guide merely with your left one. The eyes on the turbulent water fall into a sleep that dreams of exiting and re-entering. Nothing in the middle but bright light, silken and cool and loosely. Doors and tunnels, do you understand, and ways to go there, and times to go and times to exit and re-enter. Exit and re-enter under the assumption that tempts toward something finished or friendly. The twisting, twirling light scatters and splatters in the leaves benevolently, and shadows fall in puzzle pieces. Puzzle it out, but don't be fooled by the answer. Exit and re-enter by a side door, and simply turn the knob of the instant under your free hand. Infinitesimal bells. Infinitesimal bells linger in the round mouth of words. Scales of bells tuned to each other and chiming, or about to chime, or finish chiming and stand still. Infinitesimal, smaller and deeper than atoms, forming a chain like molecules, chain after chain in past and present and future time. Open your mouth then slowly, without breaking the crystal balls of them, and utter them, as preciously as breathing. The chimes begin in 1,000 rounds that begin or about to begin in the chain after chain of small bells lingering down in the infinitesimal mouths of words. This is a round that goes round and is sung until you hear it. Scales tuned to each other and chiming, or about to chime, or finish chiming and stand still. Beating the measure until you re-enter. The mouths begin to open down in the throats of words. Infinitesimal bells linger in the round mouth of words. And that's all.